In the heart of East Barito district in Kalimantan, the devastating impact of the extractive industry had cast a shadow of anxiety over the indigenous people who had long relied on nature's abundance. Their once productive surroundings were now diminished, a consequence of human exploitation. Amidst this bleak landscape, a woman emerged as a beacon of hope, a warrior from the Dayak Maanyan tribe named Mrs. Mardiana. She had dedicated her life to fighting for the rights of the indigenous people and the integrity of the Nansaranai land in East Barito, central Kalimantan. Mrs. Mardiana, a former nurse at East Barito Hospital, refused to let idle time consume her while fulfilling her responsibilities as a housewife, caring for her children and grandchildren. She also tended to patients at her own home. Furthermore, she nurtured a traditional dance studio, where she trained young members of various tribes in the art of dance. Through this medium, she instilled in them a sense of cultural appreciation and the importance of defending their heritage. However, her endeavors extended beyond the realms of healthcare and art. Mrs. Mardiana dedicated a significant portion of her time to fighting alongside those who lacked independence, particularly in the rural areas that had fallen under the control of palm oil plantation and coal mining companies. In her own words, Mrs. Mardiana recounted her testimony.
My name is Mardiana, a Dayak Maanyan woman belonging to the Nansaranai indigenous group. I am a true daughter of the Dayak people, located in the sub-district of Dusun Timur, within the Barito Timur district. My ancestors hail from this very land, and my family has faced countless struggles. We were victims of land seizure for palm oil plantations in the past. This injustice occurred in areas such as Dusun Timur sub-district, Haju Ipat, Persenjanan, Paku Karau, and Dusun Tengah. Our local communities suffered greatly as large-scale seizures paved the way for palm oil plantations. Since 2006, we have fought tirelessly against these injustices, primarily addressing land seizures, deforestation, and environmental damage caused by the palm oil industry.
Their rivers, lakes, and swamps, once teeming with life and sustenance for their communities, now bear the scars of destruction caused by these plantations. Traditionally, the Dayak Maanyan and Dayak Loangan indigenous communities served as guardians of these forests, rivers, lakes, and swamps. They provided habitats for a rich diversity of fish species. However, now they have been converted into vast palm oil plantations, leaving only one village untouched. They stand in solidarity with this community, fiercely defending it against the onslaught of 7 companies attempting to encroach upon their land. Together, they assert the rule of law and the significance of regulations and legislation, even as the government violates them. The community is caught in a dilemma, often blamed despite their innocence. Yet they, alongside the JPIC, an organization of sorts, never let them fight alone.
As indigenous people, our independence remains incomplete. We feel only 60% liberated, with the remaining 40% still subject to colonization. However, this colonization occurs not through weapons, but through the economy, through coal mining and palm oil plantations. Throughout our journey, we have been supported by indigenous women who seek our aid in resisting the environmental damage caused by these companies. They understand that our very existence depends on nature. Thus, we provide assistance, introducing them to alternative uses for the remaining resources. For instance, if there is surplus rattan, we guide them in crafting woven goods. Additionally, we prioritize the preservation of the remaining rivers, supporting their fight to maintain a sustainable livelihood and access clean water. We educate them about regulations and laws, ensuring they are well-versed in their rights. We embrace all members of the community, and thanks to the JPIC's presence, the villagers have learned to make chips and meatballs. In Gun and Karangsig village, the weaving traditions thrive. We have plans for the indigenous youth and the Karang Taruna youth organization to actively engage in collecting remaining wood and crafting souvenirs. Our arms remain open, constantly offering support and guidance to enable them to achieve further progress. Though farming has become challenging due to restrictions on burning land for cultivation, we never resort to clearing forests or damaging the environment.
Testifying to Mrs. Mardiana's unwavering commitment, Mr. Franciscus Sandy Lake, a community leader, shared his perspective. I have known Mrs. Mardiana since October 2010, and she has consistently displayed a deep concern and sensitivity towards environmental issues. She has confronted the expansion of palm oil plantations in Sarapat by PTSGM, standing alongside the community to protect their land from encroachment. Moreover, she collaborates with neighboring villages in Dusun Timur and Awang sub-districts, as well as other districts within Barito Timur, united in their mission to safeguard the land. Fearless and resolute, she presses on, not merely as a Dayak person or a woman, but as a conscientious human being aware of the urgency to protect our threatened environment. Her activism extends beyond her own village, as she actively participates in capacity-building initiatives pertaining to law and human rights at both the provincial and national levels. She even engages in international activities in Southeast Asia, making her voice heard in places like Bangkok. With her genuine desire to protect the rights of indigenous communities, especially the Malayang indigenous community in Barito, she embodies the epitome of an advocate. In the midst of East Barito's desolation, Mrs. Mardiana, the valiant warrior from the Dayak Mayanyan tribe, emerges as a symbol of hope. Her unwavering dedication and tireless efforts inspire those around her to join the fight for justice and the preservation of their ancestral lands. Through her indomitable spirit and commitment, she echoes the spirit of her people, steadfastly protecting their rights and the sanctity of nature. Since 2010, Mardiana has been actively involved in various struggles related to human rights in East Barito. Together with JPIC Kalimantan, Mardiana is the coordinator of the Indigenous Women's Community, which is under the Division of Women and Children. She actively provides capacity building and assistance to communities who are in places where they are needed, specifically in East Barito. When asked what are her hopes and aspirations, she has this to say.
The threats we face come from both the government and business sectors, specifically from stone mining and large-scale coal mining, as well as palm oil plantations. These activities pose a significant danger to both humans and the environment, resulting in the loss of our indigenous communities' sources of livelihood. We can no longer engage in farming, gardening, or foraging for vegetables from the forest or fields. In the past, we didn't need to buy anything and didn't have money. We didn't feel upset. However, the threats from coal mining and palm oil plantations have become major issues for us, the indigenous farmers, rubber tappers, and those whose lives depend on the forest and our environment. We don't want to end up like our friends in other villages who have succumbed to these threats. In this village, we are determined to protect and distance ourselves from palm oil plantations and coal mining. We want to show that we can live without coal mining and palm oil plantations in the surrounding areas of Amperi village, particularly within our extended family's land, where we have managed our land and forests responsibly. Here, it's not just about rubber trees, but also about various fruit trees and other plants in the forest. We hope that this collaboration will set the best example and preserve the environment. This is our way of resisting the exploitation of nature and the environment, particularly by avoiding coal mining and palm oil plantations. Our hope is that this approach can serve as a model and benefit not only our indigenous community, but also the entire East Barito region. We aim to expand this model to other areas, with the hope that it will not harm the forest and the environment.
The Dayaks perceive the earth as their mother, the forest as their breath, and water as their lifeblood. These elements are integral to their existence. However, currently, not everyone comprehends this profound connection. Mardiana made this emotional request to the authorities.
We request that the central government, particularly those responsible for environmental destruction and degradation, come and witness firsthand what is happening in our area. Furthermore, we ask for attention to be given to closing the mining pits and restoring our rivers so that fish and other aquatic life can thrive once again. Only after that should the mines be closed permanently. We implore the nation and all indigenous communities and citizens of Indonesia to heed this message. God created the earth only once, and the earth cannot give birth to another earth. Likewise, as human beings, especially as women, we can only give birth to human children.
When asked what her biggest disappointment is, she has this to say.
Clothing, including blankets and so on, was made from burlap sacks. So why am I describing this? It is to remind us that even though they lived using wooden bark and sacks, their lives were not lacking. If we were colonized now, we should be grateful to our ancestors, our forefathers, who fought for our growth, shedding tears and sweat as they resisted colonization, looting, deforestation, and all forms of disturbances. They fought to protect their lives and to preserve the environment they nurtured and passed down through generations to their children and descendants. However, what is happening now is that we show no gratitude at all. Instead, if children today are reminded of the past, they say it's the now era. But if it is not inherited from our ancestors and not created by God, none of it would exist in our lives as they are today. Personally, I will continue to fight alongside the community. I will never let go of it because since childhood, I have been taught to respect what God has given and what has been passed down by our ancestors. It is a principle, but for our motto, we have the saying, "We have fingers, birthplace, and prosperity forever." However, now looking ahead, I'm not sure if it will be perfect forever, but I will do my best. If the plantations and mining companies continue to destroy the environment and violate laws and regulations, where there is no longer any rule of law, the community and its members are always punished, arrested, beaten to the point of exhaustion. I dislike that the most, it hurts me. We, the indigenous community, must not become what I call spiritless. The community must rise, unite, and fight against economic colonization. But not against the government, not against the law, not against the regulations. It is the government that has violated the regulations related to permits. If anyone feels offended, they can arrest me because I am ready to face whatever happens to me when I go to the field. I am ready because it is for the sake of nature, for the sake of our sustainable livelihood. I will never retreat, but now, with my current struggle, I am proud that God has given me strength even at the age of over 60. I am still granted health and the ability to think. This is to protect what God has created, what has been passed down by our ancestors, and what is deeply ingrained within me. Because I always pray to God that if God no longer needs me, then I will not use my lips, heart, and mind. God can call me. But if God still uses me, please grant me health and strength to continue our struggle as the indigenous community, to fight for our rights and the remaining forests together with JPIC and anyone who cares about deforestation and destruction. Because we have principles, even though there are many kinds of strength, we will not disturb or do anything if we are not disturbed. If we are already exhausted from defending ourselves, if we can no longer endure this colonization, do not blame us if we rise united against this colonization. We ask the government not to blame us. Once again, we are united. Highly respectful of Pankasila, highly respectful of this country, highly respectful of the red and white flag, and highly respectful of the struggles that have been carried out. Thank you.
This is the tale of a formidable woman, Mrs. Mardiana, a warrior devoted to preserving the integrity of creation. With unwavering resolve, she stands alongside the indigenous Dayak Mayanian people in the heart of East Barito, refusing to face the battles alone. Together, let us march forward, prepared to conquer any challenge that comes our way, united in our pursuit of justice and righteousness. In conclusion, Mrs. Mardiana's story serves as an inspiration for us all. Her unwavering commitment to the well-being of her community and the protection of their ancestral lands demonstrates the power of an individual dedicated to a noble cause. May her story embolden us to stand up for what is right, to join hands with those fighting for justice, and to strive for a world where the integrity of creation is cherished and safeguarded. Together, let us be victorious in our quest for a better future.